Picture this. Tomorrow it's all gone. The savings, the investments, even the job, wiped to zero. All you've got left is what's in your head. Most people would panic. I wouldn't, because I know the exact path back, and it's far simpler than the internet pretends. No day trading, no crypto moonshot, no secret hustle, just a handful of moves in the right order. So that's the video. If I had to rebuild from nothing today, here's precisely what I'd do, step by step. And the very first move? It has nothing to do with money. There's also a trap waiting at zero. The exact thing that sends desperate people from zero to below zero, and I'll name it at the very end so you never fall into it. Quick note, education, not financial advice. Let's rebuild. Before a single dollar, I'd fix the story in my head, because starting over breaks people emotionally long before it breaks them financially. Here's the reframe. Being at zero is not being behind forever, it's a starting line. Money is a skill, not a personality trait. The people who are good with money aren't smarter than you, they just run a system you haven't learned yet. So I wouldn't waste one day on shame, and I wouldn't try to win it all back fast. I'd accept that wealth is built boringly, in steps, and that my only job is to run the next step well. Calm, sequential, unhurried, that mindset is the foundation, and almost everyone skips it and goes straight to flailing. With my head right, the first real move is the one the budget gurus barely mention. Day 1, I'd stop the bleeding. I'd write down every single thing my life costs in a month. Rent, food, power, transport, minimum debt payments, and find my true survival number, the bare minimum to keep the lights on. Then I'd cut everything non-essential, hard, temporarily, not as a lifestyle, as triage. You cannot build on a foundation that's actively flooding. And here's the hidden benefit. The second I know my survival number, the panic shrinks, because now the mountain has a measurable size. Vague fear becomes a number I can attack. But cutting only takes you so far. You can only trim a budget to zero. The thing that actually changes everything has no ceiling at all, and it's not cutting lattes. Here's what the penny pinching advice underplays. You can only cut expenses so far, but you can grow income almost without limit. So rebuilding, most of my energy in the early months goes into earning more, not saving pennies. I pull the fastest lever first, my current job and skills, more hours. A raise, with evidence. A better paying employer. Because switching jobs is historically one of the quickest ways to a real pay bump, maybe a simple side income using what I already know. Do the math, and it's freeing. Trimming $20 of spending is nice. Adding $500 of monthly income is life-changing, and there's no cap on it. You cannot frugal your way out of a low income. You can earn your way out of almost anything. And every new dollar flows straight into the dead simple system I'm about to build. With income moving, I build the dumbest banking setup imaginable, because complexity is where good intentions go to die. One checking account for bills and spending, one high-yield savings for the emergency fund, one retirement account for investing. That's it. Every payday, money moves automatically to the right place before my hands can touch it. Bills covered, a set amount swept to savings, a set amount to investing. The whole point is to make the right thing happen on autopilot, so my willpower never even gets tested. Rich habits aren't heroic. They're automated, so where does that swept money go first? In a very specific order? And getting it wrong is how people stay stuck for years. I would not buy a single share of anything until I had a cushion. First, a starter buffer, about $1,000, so the next surprise doesn't shove me back into debt. Then, any high-interest debt. Credit cards, anything over about 8%, gets attacked relentlessly, because paying off a 20% card is a guaranteed 20% return no investment can touch. Only then would I build a real emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. People hate this part. It's slow, it's unsexy, there's no dopamine, but this net is exactly what lets me invest later and never panic sell when the market dives. Defense before offense. Every time. With the net up, finally, investing. And I'd keep it almost insultingly simple. Here's where people brace for the secret stock. There isn't one, and chasing it is how beginners lose. Rebuilding, I'd put investing on autopilot into low-cost, broad index funds inside tax-advantaged accounts. First, any employer match, free money, then a Roth IRA. An index fund means I own a sliver of hundreds of companies at once, so I never have to guess which one wins. And I buy the same amount every month, no matter what. Market up, market down, scary headlines, doesn't matter, I just keep buying. That's it. Boring, automatic, diversified, and historically one of the most reliable wealth builders that has ever existed. The magic was never the pick, it's the consistency, which brings me to the real engine under all of this. The thing doing the heavy lifting in this whole plan isn't a clever move, it's time. Money invested early compounds on itself, and compounding is exponential, not linear. A modest amount invested in my 20s or 30s can quietly outgrow a much bigger amount started in my 40s. That's why, rebuilding from zero, I would not wait until I felt ready or had enough. Starting small now beats starting big later, every single time. The worst money mistake isn't picking a slightly wrong fund. It's standing on the sidelines, waiting for perfect conditions that never arrive while your most valuable asset, time, burns. Get $1 working today. Let me get concrete, because rebuild your finances is useless without specifics. Week 1, write down every expense, find the survival number, cancel everything non-essential. Weeks 2 to 4, stabilize income, shifts, a raise, a simple service using a skill I already have, anything that brings dollars in fast. Month 2, open the 3 accounts, automate the flows, start the $1,000 buffer. Month 3, buffer full, start hammering high-interest debt. Notice, none of this needs a windfall, and none of it is glamorous. It's decisive, boring action, stacked day after day. The first 90 days aren't about getting rich, they're about getting stable and building momentum, and momentum is the thing that carries everything after it. If income is the big lever, which version do I pull first? Almost always the one I already have access to, not some brand new venture. Ask for more hours, negotiate a raise with proof of my value. Or job hop to a higher payer in the same field, because changing jobs is one of the fastest routes to a real bump. Starting a business from scratch is exciting but slow and risky when you're trying to stabilize, so I'd squeeze the existing lever first and only build new streams once I'm steady. People romanticize the side hustle, but a $5,000 raise at your main job is usually easier to land, and worth far more than most side gigs with none of the grind. Now the part nobody films, the emotional crash. Rebuilding is slow at the start, and somewhere around month 2 or 3, motivation dies and the why bother voice gets loud, so I plan for that in advance. I track progress where I can SEE it, a simple chart of debt falling or net worth ticking up, because seeing movement is what keeps you going when feelings scream quit. I celebrate the boring wins, first 1,000 saved, first card killed. And I remember the people who win financially aren't the most motivated. Motivation fades for everyone. They're the ones who built systems that keep working on the days they don't feel like it. Discipline is just motivation you've automated. And here's the trap I promised. The one that sends people from zero to below zero. It's the urge to make it all back fast. It feels logical. I'm behind, so I need big, quick returns to catch up. That exact thought is what pushes broke people into options, leverage, and crypto moonshots, and it's how someone at zero ends up in debt, worse off than when they started. Here's the reframe that saves you. I don't need to catch up fast. I need to compound consistently. Slow and boring genuinely wins because the flashy fast plays mostly transfer money from the impatient to the patient. Rebuilding my edge wouldn't be a brilliant bet. It'd be refusing to make a stupid one while everyone around me bought lottery tickets. Let me show you why the boring plan is worth the grind with one number. Say after stabilizing, I could invest $300 a month into a simple index fund. Not life-changing money. Feels small. But at historical market returns, $300 a month becomes roughly $60,000 in 10 years, and over 30 years north of $500,000 from $300 a month. That's the part that breaks people's brains. It's not the size of the contribution, it's the relentless consistency multiplied by time. So when month 3 feels pointless and the balance looks tiny, that tiny balance is a seed, not the tree. The people who quit are staring at the seed. The people who win already see the tree. Same plan, different time horizon in their head. Let's get specific. The first month I had an extra $500 beyond survival. What happens to it? Not a stock, not crypto. It goes straight to wherever I am on the staircase. No buffer yet? All 500 builds that $1,000 floor? Floor done, but a credit card screaming at 20%? all 500 hits the card because that's a guaranteed 20% return. Card dead, fund building, it tops up the emergency fund. Only once the net is complete does that 500 start buying index funds. Same $500. Completely different best home depending on the step. That's the whole discipline. You don't decide emotionally where money goes, the staircase decides for you. Here's the uncomfortable truth about who rebuilds successfully and who stays stuck. It's almost never about intelligence or even income. It's about who can tolerate boring. The person who makes it back is the one who automates the dull stuff, ignores the get-rich-quick noise, and just keeps stacking small wins when nobody's watching and nothing feels exciting. The person who stays stuck is usually chasing the next thrill, the hot tip, the big swing, the shortcut. Rebuilding rewards the patient and punishes the desperate. So if your plan feels unglamorous and slow, good. That's what working looks like. The boring path isn't the consolation prize, it's the actual prize. So here's the whole rebuild in one breath. Fix the mindset. 0 is a starting line. Stabilize, find your survival number and cut to it. Grow income, the lever with no ceiling. Build a boring, automated 3-account setup. Lay the net, starter buffer, kill expensive debt, full emergency fund. Then invest simply and automatically in index funds and let time do the rest. Don't reach for the get-rich-quick trap and don't quit in the slow part. Here's the honest truth. You don't need to be lucky or brilliant to win with money. You need a simple plan and the patience to run it. If this gave you a path you could actually follow, subscribe for more no-nonsense money guides. Now go find your survival number tonight. That's step 1, and you can do it in 20 minutes.